Okay, we're ready to go? Perfect. Welcome, everybody. We have a lot of students in the booth today. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Graph Expo. Hey, guys. Please take lots of pictures in the photo booth. Mail some home. Use direct mail. We love direct mail. Welcome to the, is this the second or the third panel? I don't even know what day it is. Third panel, awesome. The third panel on the last day of Graph Expo. Hope everyone has had a fabulous show, is having a fabulous show. We'll continue to have fabulous shows too in the future. Right now we're going to talk about printing smart, evaluating tools for saving time and money, and everybody on this panel is here representing a company that can help you do just that. So let's just start off, as I'm starting off every panel, with just a brief introduction of who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into what your company provides. Kim?
Hi everyone, my name's Kim Owen. I work for a company called ClearEdge, but I'm here today representing Horrific Development, and they have a really neat little software solution that allows you to get instant print quotes 24/7.
Steve McWilliam from Avanti up in Toronto. We are in the print MIS space, so the software that does all the job costing, job tracking, and billing. So this is a topic that's very near and dear to our hearts.
Thanks so much.
Kevin Gumina, CEO of Chili Publish. Chili Publish is a online document editor that can be integrated in any solution. Could be your MIS or could be your web-to-print system, and it allows you to edit graphical files online.
Thanks so much.
I'll grab this on.
Pitney.
Hi, my name is Kevin Marks. I lead Pitney Bowes' global production printing business. Nice to be here today.
Thanks so much. And you guys, if you can, we found better luck with pulling the mic out for the people at home. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Paul Abdul. I'm the Vice President of Enterprise Solutions with Solimar Systems, and our organization deals with transactional print providers, so things like bills, statements, invoices, etc., and help you to communicate better, whether it's on paper or electronically.
And Paul, next time they need you to talk louder, please. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Todd Vaniski. I'm a worldwide marketing manager with Xerox. I cover our entire production workflow, and that is software to help our customers get jobs from when they come in the shop until they're out the back end. So any step of the way, Xerox has production workflow to help you out.
Thanks. Actually, we'll stay with you for our first question.
I'm starting to feel the pressure.
It'll be okay, I promise. I'll be gentle with you for your first time. As it relates to your products and services, how should printers be assessing their workflows and processes to know if they are optimized or in need of assistance?
When I work with customers, when we talk about where to start, it's typically touch points. It's as simple as that. Anytime that a Xerox customer or anybody that we're working with, regardless of the workflow, anytime that they touch that file, that is an inefficiency. It's an element and an opportunity to make a mistake. It's cycles. It's work in progress. The dream of a totally automated workflow, right? The dream of jobs coming in from the web front end and just ending up on the printer at the end of the day, you can get there, but the way to get there is one step at a time. Just look at every single time that a customer has to physically touch the file. That's an opportunity for improvement.
Thanks so much, Paul.
This is near and dear to my heart, Deborah. One of the things that we do at Solimar is offer assessments of your workflow and to benchmark that against all of the shops that we go to and our customers. And so what we do is, as was mentioned earlier here, follow the document from data reception to the different stops throughout the shop, and providing that visibility out to your customers is what we're seeing is a very important thing. And so the benchmarking, I think, is important because a lot of times people don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what's been developed. And when we can go out there and show them where there are risks or challenges that they may not think that they're even experiencing or that might come, that's how we help them out.
Thanks so much. Kevin?
Hi. So we at Pitney Bowes have a slightly different perspective than my learning colleagues in this panel. Our perspective is frankly much broader than just the print dimension. So our solution sets need to consider all the critical elements that are required to ensure the clients, at least the print service provider or the in-house operations community has good business results. So that includes building the composition layer, inclusive of the data elements of psychographics, demographics, building the right message for that client at the composition phase, then extending into the print production phase, and then extending to the next phase, which is the mail finishing or sortation phase, right through insertion into the U.S. Postal Service mail stream. So we think that any element of that process that doesn't consider the totality of that risks suboptimization. So we think broadly, beyond just print, and all the elements upstream of print, right down through the final introduction of that content into the mail stream. And then going a step further, tracking that within the mail stream such that the end user has visibility and content and awareness of where it is. If you're a retailer, you need to know where your drop will occur so that you can time promotions to that effect. So again, from our view at Pitney Bowes, consider all the critical elements, both far upstream, right down through the receipt of the content in the desired end user's either mailbox or digital repository.
Thanks so much. Julie Matt?
Yes. Okay. This is actually a very, very interesting question, and I have a very strong opinion about this. I think first of all, it all starts with the vision. As a customer or as a company in this industry, you need to have a vision of where you're going. And once you have the vision and you have established that, you need to be conscious that it will take some time and that you need to work in iterations. And by iterations, I don't mean iterations of 2 or 3 years. I mean iterations of 6 months, because that's the reality we're in at. Tomorrow, your customer needs might be a little bit different than yesterday. So the days of just trying to deploy one big infrastructure or trying to do everything at the same time doesn't work anymore. So my advice always is start with small pieces, do iterations, keep on improving it, listen to your customers, and try to get best of both worlds, different components, combine them all together and try to make a very compelling offer that you can adjust depending on what the customer is requiring, what markets you're going after, and try to have a vision. You can change your vision, but try to have a vision at first. Don't just let a salesman talk to you in buying some software and then think, oh, I'm going to sell this now to my customer and it'll be great. No, that won't work. You first need the vision and you need to stand behind it.
Thanks so much. Stephen?
I think Todd just nailed it. It really is about the touch points on a job. What we coach at Avanti, what we do is we coach people through the fact that there's 2 types of workflow in the shop. There's the administrative workflow and there's the production workflow. And using some lean manufacturing concepts, you have a look at those steps in the workflow to say they're either adding value or they're not adding value. And the things that aren't adding value, the need to put together a quote letter or the need to put an invoice together, you can't bill your customer for those things. So you really need to streamline that part of the workflow. We refer to them as breakpoints in the workflow. Anytime that we've captured information that we then need to re-enter again as a breakpoint in the workflow. And so we've got to eliminate those steps, we've got to automate those steps, is going to be the key to assessing how well we're doing.
Thanks so much. Kim?
Yeah. Deborah, if I may take just a slightly different angle on this and speak to, as the smaller company on this panel, speak to some of the smaller and medium-sized printers out there. If we talk about assessing workflows, the number one goal really is to get that estimate out to the customer and get that job through production as quickly as possible. And looking at it from, what are some of the questions and things you should look at, I think it's not always a question of price when you're looking at these solutions. It's, will the vendor help you implement? And once you've implemented, are they there to support you? What's the maintenance like? What kind of ROI are you going to get? And then most importantly, it's your internal capabilities. Do you have people on staff that can really look after this? Because there are wonderful solutions out there, and it's really a case of finding the best thing for your business and that you will actually use in your shop.
Thanks so much. Software in a box or cloud-based platforms? How does a business know what is right for them? Let's start with Xerox.
So when I talk with customers about the cloud versus at Xerox, we refer to them as on-premise. So when we're making that trade-off, usually it has to do, and again, in our specific instance, it has to do with their capability to operationalize the software drives a lot of that decision, quite honestly. I mean, there's some feature functionality difference, but the biggest benefit to the cloud is you've removed the IT, you've removed the maintenance, the management, the infrastructure. There's IT resources as well, people as well as hardware. So that's the biggest value proposition to the customers. The feature functionality trade-offs are there, and we could probably spin, twist ourselves around the axle on that. But if you're a customer of any size business, I've been in the worldwide marketing role for a while now, and I ask at all of our major events, I ask the same question to start, and I ask the audience, show of hands, do you have a dedicated IT resource on your staff, or do you have an engineer on staff? So specifically, even specifically in the small and medium-sized businesses, they don't have these resources. So the previous comment rings very true in that the greatest software in the world isn't going to do you any good if you can't operationalize it. So if 80% of the printers that I talk to, and everybody's market on the panel is going to be slightly different, but the vast majority of my customers don't have an IT resource, and therefore there's going to be a little bit of fear, a little bit of agita over implementing a production workflow solution. And that's where the cloud can really revolutionize the print industry, because software that was previously maybe out of reach for some customers now is within their reach, because we've removed all the barriers for the IT, for the reliance on IT people and hardware and software.
Paul?
That's fantastic. I ask that question all the time. I like to refer to it as the guy. Everyone's got a guy. And they say, okay, take me to your guy. And we start talking. And I say, is there another guy? And that, to me, is one of the reasons you want to go to the cloud or
Does
to
your guy have a guy? That's what you're asking?
Yeah, because if they don't, you're at risk. And I find that that person may have built things in a customized way, and because of that, that can create a problem. And when they do that, it's not repeatable. So with respect to cloud versus on-premise, we use the same term. Interestingly enough, I was inspired to write a white paper about this a few weeks ago, because I went to two different customers within 24 hours, and one was pro on-premise, one was pro cloud. Why? I believe it's a philosophy of the organization first, and the age of the buyer and their style. I think we're starting to see an evolution to the cloud because the people who are buying it and making those decisions are used to it and are part of that digital native space. So as those people evolve and we get that younger generation coming through, they trust it easily. They're born with it, so there's no questioning of security and things like that, even though the security is fantastic and it's been good today.
Thanks so much, Kevin.
So earlier, I offered a different perspective for our view of the world, which is consider all the critical elements for client success. And if I think about our typical client for Pitney Bowes, whether it's a mid-size or enterprise level account, we focus on clients that need solutions in the spaces like finance, banking, insurance, telco, utilities, and government. And those businesses, whether they're the largest mailers, print mail operations in the globe, or mid-size, they're looking for a range of solutions, some of which are machine-based, some of which are cloud-based. So this week at Graph Expo, we announced a new product category called Clarity. Clarity by design is to do just that, help clients with clarity of their process. So Clarity is about providing the tools, both host-based, within the device level, as well as cloud-based, that allow an operation to consider all the optimization shortcomings and identify them using classic lean manufacturing techniques. Its ability to look at the machine level, site level, and multiple site levels across print and mail operations and root out those inefficiencies. And that is what our clients are driving us toward. It's not just enough to have very fast utilities or islands of automation. Our clients are looking to really understand how do we automate, link the process, remove inefficiencies, take out labor tasks that don't create value, and drive better business results. So that's the Pitney Bowes Clarity announcement this week at Graph Expo.
Thanks so much, Chili Man.
Yes, Chili Man. Thank you for my promotion, by the way. I think being Chili Publish, obviously we're a technology company, so we sell technology to service providers. And I think it's not a black and white answer. What I do know that's very important for a service provider is to own the cloud. If you're doing cloud, make sure you own the platform, because the platform is key. It's about customer retention. It's about building a solution that you control and that you can drive. So I would say cloud, yes. It depends where you're at. Are you a service provider? Are you servicing other customers? Or are you just the end user of the solution? In our case, we sell on-premise licenses because they want to integrate it within whatever they already have or with other solutions, so it doesn't really make sense to be in the cloud. And they want to create their own cloud. So that's my...
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Avanti Slingshot will run either in the cloud or it can run on-premise. So really, we don't care where the customer decides they're going to run their application. But when I look at my customer base, it really equates down to the smaller they are, the more likely they are to run in the cloud. A lot to do with what Todd said about having the resources available to take care of that. But also, when it's up in the cloud, it's running in a data center, and a data center by definition has 5 nines availability. The system will be available 99.999% of the time because it's got redundant power and it's got redundant internet, and it's got diesel generators that kick in half a second if there's any blip in your any blip in your power at all. So this takes out all those issues and all those concerns away from the print service provider, who really, it's not their business to manage IT. Their business is, satisfying customer needs in print and in marketing services. So smaller the company, more likely to be in the cloud.
Hi. Arific is a cloud-based estimating tool. So again, I think a lot of, I concur with everything that's been said on this panel, and it really does depend on the size of the organization. And for smaller companies, cloud-based system is sometimes a great way to go because you don't have to have those IT resources, or you may not have them. And so I think, again, it just depends on the size of your organization, your resources. The one question that I've been getting pretty regularly when we discuss cloud-based solutions are always around security. And I think Stephen just said it, you've got, when you're dealing with cloud-based systems, the systems are in place for security, you've got the backup, you've got everything else, so it's not as much of an issue as people think.
Thank you so much. So all of the companies on the panel, except for Chile, participated in Breaches the New Black, Privacy, Data, and the Cloud. It was a panel that we had on Sunday. And when crowdsourcing questions for this panels, protecting data came up so much that it's worth addressing again. So how do your solutions protect customer data and the data of their customers? Can we start with you, Kim?
Again, the customer's data is absolutely protected, and that's, we wouldn't be able to stay in business, I think, if we didn't do this. I'm not a technical expert, so I can't give you the precise way that we do this at Arific. I'm the marketing person, but rest assured that we at Arific, just like other companies that provide these solutions, do everything that we need to do to ensure that our customers' data is safe and secure.
It's really a function of 3 things. One is authentication, so make sure that only people can get into the system that should be allowed to get into the system. And then once they're in the system, making sure that the system can be segmented in such a way that you only get to see the information or the data that you should be allowed to see are the key is the key on the security side.
Thanks so much.
I'm afraid I don't have that much to contribute because it's whatever our customers are doing with our software, and they're securing their own data. Just from being a technical person, I just know it's important that you can have the mechanisms and just make sure you can run the typical HTTPS and do your homework, and just make sure that the ABC of data protection is there.
Thanks so much. Kevin?
We wake up in the morning as a business thinking about precision and accuracy. Those are the antes in the clients that we support. So we think back, and as a global company, when we work in the United States, we have to think about supporting clients for HIPAA with healthcare, COS for the financial industry. So we are rooted with systems that are compliant with all the regulatory requirements for those vertical markets. And then we go across to other markets like in Europe. We work with companies like B-Source, which is a service provider of transactional print and mail communications for the Swiss market. You can imagine that the Swiss market, in their requirements for data security privacy, they are actually using Pitney Bowes products to establish a competitive advantage through data integrity, data security, privacy. Those are the antes in some markets that are greater than perhaps even the United States. So we are rooted there. Its accuracy and precision is in our DNA.
As you know, Deborah, this is a favorite topic of mine. Like my esteemed panelists here, before we get up for breakfast, we're thinking about it because it's a 24-hour operation. All of our clients are thinking about security all day long. So with respect to products, we have a product called the Chemistry Enterprise Dashboard. And to Stephen's point earlier about authorization, that's important. Role-based authorization is critical as well. You can see what you're allowed to see. It's on a need-to-know basis, and you have to authenticate at various levels. And when it comes to these things, you need standard operating procedures behind them as well. So once they're documented, you can go through an audit process, and that's what stands up in a court of law a lot more times than just your system.
With Xerox, we obviously deal in a lot of areas that carry sensitive information, whether it's financial, it's healthcare. I mean, some of the largest volume insurance carriers. I mean, there's tremendous personal information that's being shared. So myself, along with everybody on the panel, knows that security is job one, and we start that at every layer of our software, starting right down at the individual controller that does the printer. The brain of the physical print device has 3 different layers of security. It has the available to pull drives, and we have a data override. And again, we could get into the heavy lifting of the engineering, but every step that we could take from our software perspective, we're taking in order to maintain and keep that data secure. But the other thing that when we talk to customers, quite honestly, and I get this a lot in the cloud typically, it's the cloud, we're nervous about security, data is being transferred. It's typically, when I talk with most customers, and I'll say this very politely, it's not the physical tools. A lot of times it's the operational areas of how they're handling data, and the security of their office is less secure than any internet transfer that they're going to have in and out, right? You have a better chance of walking in the front door and taking a piece of paper than you do of decrypting anything I might happen to send over the internet. So it's when you think about security, everybody tends to dive into there's a message on the internet, what am I going to do? Just think about it in a broader scope of things. Look at every element of down to securing your facilities and simple things like that. And we tend to point at the technology and as we're learning and we're coming up that curve. But if you're serious about security, most folks that are serious about it will take it beyond just the systems and into just a total and general practice of their people and their physical facilities.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
This is a question that actually came from our print chat audience when I was crowdsourcing questions. And it's from Corey Sawatsky and Richard Dannenberg. It's a combo question. They want to know, what are the reporting features of your platforms and how do they integrate with the established workflows? And I know that many of you here have many solutions. You can answer this question to however you want to answer it. I mean product-wise, whatever products you'd like to speak about.
With Arific, it's an estimating tool. It's an online estimating tool, but there are reporting features that are available to the printer. And basically, from the estimate through job submission, the printer has the ability to go in and look at all of the data behind the scenes in terms of, what were the costs, what money did they make, how many jobs came in. So I would say in the case of Arific, it's very typical reporting as far as an estimating tool is concerned. And there are also there is the ability to use an API and link into an existing MIS system if the printer has that. So then, of course, you would take advantage of all of the reporting you have in your MIS or other workflow systems.
Thanks so much.
So Microsoft SQL database in the background, basically in a real print MIS, you have the ability to report on anything and everything right through that entire workflow. So we use something called Jasper. It's a kind of a crystal on steroids type tool. And so each of the modules inside of Avanti have their 5 or 10 modules reports per module. So estimating, as an example, everyone's favorite report inside that is estimate versus actual. We estimated it would take this long to run through the shop, that we would use this much material. How much time did it actually take to run, and how much paper did we use? Another favorite report down on the shipping side, and the accountants love, is the report that's on the owner's desk every morning that says jobs that were shipped but were not invoiced. If there's anything in a print shop that drives the owner crazy, it's that the job is going out the back door and it's taking days, if not weeks, for the invoice to go out the front door. And then, of course, you got to be open enough that the client can put together their own reports. So the SQL engine is there. We provide a database course to our clients, as well as the database structure, so they can write their own reports, or they can come to us and we'll write it for them.
Of course, data and reporting, very important. I think the most important is that you have an API. Just like my colleague just said, they're running SQL Server in the background so they can run any report. We have an open API going from, how much time has this image has been used throughout my documents, how many times did I use a specific font, and so on. All of that can be pulled via the API, and you can then build whatever report you would need for your business or for your type of solution.
Thank you.
So the Pitney Bowes announcement on Clarity is a breakthrough on 2 categories. The first level of breakthrough is machine-to-machine analytics. And we think that's the ante. For each of our devices, say in that print and mail finishing operation, both the print system and the mail finishing, the machine-to-machine approach is about grabbing the metadata associated with those jobs. So separating the content layer from the metadata associated with those engines, those devices, those appliances, if you will, and then reporting that information so that across the print and mail finishing operations, a print operation, a mail finishing operation, and a operation community associated with both can actually determine where we're strong, where we're weak. The next dimension for machine-to-mean says take that data and place it in the cloud. And through that cloud, we begin to go to the movement from information to now analytics. And the tool will then support the concept of asking the simple question, is how are my operations compared to others? By comparing actual machine output, machine process, and voice of process, you can actually begin to determine where are you on that journey to a world class. Are you at the top 10% of similarly sized, similarly focused operations? Or are you at a low percentile? Are you at a high percentile? Where do you focus your attention? So we're harnessing the power of the industrial internet to do both the machine-to-machine comparisons, but also comparisons against best in class to help accelerate that journey toward world-class operations.
Thanks so much, Paul.
This is a great question. I love this stuff, reporting, measuring. It's stuff that we've been doing for a while. But as Kevin mentioned, looking at it from start to finish and along the way is critical. We have something called the Chemistry Enterprise Dashboard, and you said, your question was, how do they integrate with current solutions? We are extremely neutral on this as far as what you have, or if it's a different piece of equipment or software, even if you don't have our own. As long as it's open, as other people have said APIs, web services, SQL databases, things that talk to each other is absolutely critical today. We're not going back, and we're not having ransomware anymore where you have to only use your own or a proprietary language. Now you can share that metadata, as Kevin mentioned. So I think from a visibility standpoint, we like to connect with everybody, whether it's Xerox, PB, Bell & Howell, different equipment, finishing equipment. Having something that's going to create that link is critical. And I think it's not only, like Kevin was talking about, inside your operation, looking at those metrics, we're seeing some pay-based compensation models based on the efficiency or the output of particular operators or by job. We're starting to see that from a bonus perspective. We're also seeing people tracking things outside. So, for example, through USPS with the Intelligent Mail barcode, and then bringing that information back into that dashboard and serving it up to management so that they do have that business intelligence layer, and it's not just a report. And I think the reports are great as well, but an SLA or something like that is the culmination of multiple SLAs. So I like to call the master SLAs getting it out the door, but the culmination of 4 or 5 steps to get there are things you need to know. So a report would be, in my eyes, an immediate notification of a text that says I'm behind before I've even started.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff we're starting to see and do.
Thanks so much.
When I talk about reporting, we end up typically talking about, in the print industry, JDF-JMF is the industry standard for which we share information. And it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, quite honestly, when I talk to customers that are newer to this area. And there's 2 kinds of reporting. There's reporting that comes to you, right, for it's a metric on my business. And then there's reporting from machine to machine or module to module to get more productive and more efficient in your workflow. But a JDF-JMF message, if you say that you're JDF-JMF compliant, that standard is enormous. So I tend to tell customers, and again, outside of Xerox Solutions, if you're looking at reporting, you're looking at integrating. Xerox spends as much on integrating software as we do on developing it these days. Because I'd say that there's not another great piece of software left or right in our industry. It's getting the individual pieces of software to work together. And the glue that holds that together, whether it's end customer reporting or sharing information between individual modules, if a software vendor, myself or Paul or anybody says we're JDF-JMF compliant, which we all will, it's a very large standard. It doesn't mean that handshake is going to be perfect. So when you're looking at the data exchanges and you're looking at what's going to report and what's going to be shared, we talk about the response envelope. It's which data points, which words in that dictionary are we going to be able to speak, and make sure that handshake is productive. That's where some of the devil's in the details when you start to build out a multi-system shop and you get to some of the larger implementations. So just be a little sensitive to JDF-JMF compliant doesn't mean everybody's going to work perfectly well together.
Thanks so much for that advice. I'm going to ask one more question, and then hopefully we have some questions from home. So basically the title of this panel is Evaluating Tools for Saving Time and Money. So why don't we get into how your tools save people time and money? Let's start with Arific.
All right. Well, I think one of the goals at Arific is to help their customers eliminate the Excel spreadsheet manual estimating process. And because they've been able to come up with an algorithm that instantly calculates quotes, we've been seeing results with customers where they have up to 85% time savings in their quoting and estimating departments. And not only that, but the tool allows the printer to do their estimates internally. They can give this tool to their customers, put it on their website, so the customers now get an instant quote. They don't have to wait for the sales rep to go back to the company, get an estimate, come back to the customer. If there's a mistake, back and forth again. And the beauty of it is that the tool is available. It's mobile friendly, so it works on a smartphone, a tablet. You can sit in front of a customer. A sales rep can say to the customer, all right, explain to me what you're trying to do, what would you like, and pull up the interface and give an immediate instant quote right there. They can change quantities, they can change technologies. It supports wide format, web, sheet fed, offset, digital. So I think this is where it really starts saving time.
And you mentioned yesterday, I like that statistic about purchase behavior.
This is an interesting one, and I think it's very, very relevant for a lot of the printers out there today. Statistics show that when we go to get a quote, or you're trying to buy something, the vendor that comes back to you with the first quote, the fastest quote, typically they will get 35 to 50, if 50% of the business, and it means that we as a buyer don't necessarily even wait around for that second or third quote. So the faster you can turn these quotes and estimates around to your customer, the better chance you have of winning the business.
Thanks so much, Stephen.
So it really is about eliminating those breakpoints in the workflow. So we have to make sure that the information that gets captured up front, ideally it's the customer that's doing the heavy lifting on a web-to-print portal. When they click on submit, it's automatically creating a job in a tool like Avanti. Then Avanti's taking all that job intent and able to pass it down to, many of our partners have their own pre-press layer, so Xerox, for example, with FreeFlow, or HP with SmartStream. All that information goes right down into the production workflow. People don't need to re-enter any of that information, and then let the rip get the things done. And then when the job is completed, be able to get information back up off of the engine about how long did it actually take to run, how much material did I use. All that information, no one with fat fingers needs to enter any of that. And then the information that was put into the quote, into the estimate, automatically turns into a quote letter. That quote, when the customer says that it gets approved, will automatically turn into an order, automatically into the job ticket, available to the schedule. So we're eliminating those breakpoints in the workflow, and that's where the real time saving is. If the job status is being updated automatically, it means that the CSR doesn't have to run around the shop trying to find, when the customer's on the phone saying, hey, where's my job? It's ideally, they don't have to get out of their seat to know what's going on, because all these data points in terms of job tracking are happening automatically, and the master schedule gets updated.
Thanks so much.
This is typically what we would be calling cutting the middleman, and that's one of the reasons why we started Chili Publisher. I mean, look at what banks did in 1890s. They had the bank tellers, then they moved to the ATMs or automated tellers, and today everybody's doing online. We're doing it ourselves. We're cutting out the middleman. With a product like Chili Publisher, we're trying to do exactly the same thing. Customers are more demanding. They want to faster go to production. They want to have the results faster. They want to be faster in the market. And with Chili Publisher, actually allowing you as a non-professional user to edit and produce high-end graphical files all online, you're saving a lot of time to market, and you're obviously also saving a lot of cost.
Thank you. Kevin?
Thanks.
Thank you. Again, the Pitney Bowes Clarity announcement is really, in the simplest form, designed to answer two important operational questions: what and why. So the machine-to-machine or enterprise cloud-based solution is designed to basically interrogate the print and mail operations of a business. We want to understand, and this process needs to define what is being run within the shop. An example of that is, with that what, we can determine and provide insight back to the client that says, why is it on the first shift, running the same work on the first, second, and third shift, we have different results? So what is occurring shift 1, 2, and 3? And the second question is why? Is it an operator issue? Is it a material availability to the operation issue? Begin to answering the question why. Why is one operator, shift, entity, or site-to-site entity producing different results? And particularly against XBAR, which is the desired average state with a DMAIC model of lean manufacturing, why are we having this variation? And then work toward eliminate variation and drive toward better business results. So in its simplest form, analytics and perspective help operations deliver better results, either with shortcomings in identifying the shortcomings in manpower, machine, people, or time, and then taking that insight, developing better processes to deliver the results that the process is capable of delivering. And that's the power of the Pitney Bowes Clarity.
Thanks so much. Paul?
Great, thanks. I'm not sure if you know this, but if you've ever watched a 100-meter race at the Olympics, the difference between the gold medalist and the last place finisher in a final is just very little, hundredths of a second. So when we go out there, we're always looking to optimize the workflow and do the little things to make that operation better. So after conducting an assessment and the optimization piece, now you want to automate it so you don't have to repeat this again. So we do this in multiple ways. We have a tool called Passport that allows you to code once and then repeat that workflow. So there's good things about this. I talked about the guy. When that guy goes away and you get the next guy, or the next guy comes in because I told him you only had one guy, he can now take that workflow and repeat it simply by dragging and dropping icons that have the code underneath. So now you don't have to recode it. So that's a real cool thing that I like. Another thing that's important, going back to a couple of things that I've said on the panel, is reducing the touch points. Once you've automated that touch point, let it run. Come back, look at it, measure it, and see if you can tweak it and make it a little bit better.
Thanks so much.
At Xerox, our number one software priority is driven from our number one customer ask, and in a mature market like we're in, for the print industry, it's operational efficiency is really the key. And I agree, I think we're all saying very similar things about any of the touch points and any of the parts in your process that you can automate. You're going to get more through your shop. It's going to be more consistent. It's going to be lower cost. It's going to be higher quality. All of these things. It's basically automation and laying out programmatic rules for how work gets done in your shop, forces discipline, and then drives you to become more efficient. And at the end of the day, every printer wants to be better at what they do, right? You want your business to run smoother. And at Xerox, I haven't touched on our products much. I'm sure if my boss back at Xerox watches this video, I might be in trouble. But we launched FreeFlow Core. That's our lead offering. That's the number one software product. I talked to our sales reps, and I said, like, if you can only learn one thing about software at Xerox, learn about FreeFlow Core. That's our automation platform. Files are brought in, and all of the steps that you typically do today to get a job through your shop, you have the ability to programmatically lay out those workflows and then automate those processes, so you can get into a hot folder only workflow where you're dropping the work in a hot folder and the rest of the work is all done. And you can, that product at the show today, the FreeFlow Core Cloud version, won a must-see, which was good news for us. And you can learn more about that product. We have a vanity URL, xerox.com/automate. I don't want to go into the weeds again on the specifics of it, but if you have an interest in learning about the automation platform from Xerox, it's at xerox.com/automate.
Thanks so much. And I thought we'd had time for a question from home, but we've kind of run out. But maybe just say where you are, if people are still on the show, website, anything else that you want to say about social media, and then we need to finish up for the next panel.
Okay. Yeah, we have a new cloud solutions page at Xerox that was launched, and we put vanity URLs around everything to make it simple. So we're right up front when you walk in. If you're still here locally and you want to stop by, and you have all of the software experts there, Xerox.com/cloud will get you to all of the latest cloud announcements, and then Xerox.com/workflow will get you to the landing page for all of our software. So whether it's cloud-based, which are some of the newer, more interesting, new opportunities for people, you can go to cloud and see everything we're doing there. Or if you want to see the portfolio in its entirety, it's just Xerox.com/workflow.
And still Xerox Production, at Xerox Production on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right. I love that you know all the Twitter handles.
I know it. I have a sickness.
I'm with you. I'm going to start with mine. I'm at Paul Abdul, and if you Google me, you'll hear some of or you can check out some of the white papers I've written on all of these things that we've talked about today. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I've been an industry guy for about 17 years, just thinking about these and not really caring about what the product was. Our website is solimarsystems.com, and we're at booth 641 if you want to come by and see us for a demo or to have a discussion about your workflow.
Thanks so much. Thank you for joining.
So if you're still in Chicago, join the Pitney Bowes booth in booth number 1239 if you're in Chicago. Or alternately, for those guests outside of Chicago, join us at our website, www.pitneybowes.com. My social media team
At Pitney Bowes.
At Pitney Bowes. At Pitney Bowes. They're delighted that I'm referencing that third in the anchor position.
Thanks so much.
Chili Publish, you can find us at booth 441, our website chili-publish.com, Twitter chili_publish, and if you just Google Chili Publish, you will find us on any social media going from Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So reach us at avantisystems.com and hashtag Ask Avanti will get all your questions answered as well.
And at Avanti Systems is your Twitter.
Thank you. The website is arific.com. We're for Chicago people right across the way here at booth 3864. We have orange carpet, so you can't miss us. The Twitter handle is at @arificofficial. And I just want to say thank you very much to Deborah for today. It was
Thank
great.
you. And it's ARIFIQ is Arific.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining the panel. Some of you have been on quite a few during the show. I really appreciate your time. So do the people at home. They're watching the live streams for sure. I watched a few of them this morning, and you're all coming across amazingly. So thank you so much for your time and for your sharing your information. Really appreciate it. Our last panel is coming up in 10 minutes, post-press success, winning with finishing. Please stay around. Thank you guys so much.